Assalamualaikum. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm today in today's lecture. I'm going to teach you about the granulomatous disease of nose. In it, of all, we have rhinoscleroma. It is a chronic granulomatous disease caused by gram-negative bacilli called Klebsiella or rhinoscleromatis or Frisch bacillus. The disease starts in the nose. Basically, it involves all the respiratory tract till bronchi. It starts in the nose, then extend to oropharynx, nasopharynx, larynx, and then trachea and bronchi. Mode of infection is unknown. The risk is in both sexes is same. Atrophic rhinitis. In clinical features, we see three stages: atrophic stage, granulomatous stage, and cicatricial stage. AGC. In atrophic stage, it resembles the atrophic stage of atrophic rhinitis. In atrophic rhinitis, we have foul-smelling nasal discharge and crusting. In rhinoscleroma, we are having the same symptoms as that of the atrophic rhinitis. The patient is having the complaint of foul-smelling nasal discharge and crusting. So how we differentiate? The differentiating point or diagnostic point is that atrophic rhinitis is basically due to atrophy of the turbinates, and it is more common in females. And atrophic rhinoscleroma is common in both the sexes. Then there comes the granulomatous stage. In granulomatous stage, there is granuloma formation, obviously, and the diagnostic point is that the lower part of your external nose and upper lips give a woody feel, and mucosa is painless. The patient is having no pain, and the mucosa is painless and non-ulcerative. Then there comes the cicatricial stage. In cicatricial stage, basically there is stenosis of the upper lips. There is fibrosis or healing going on in the cicatricial stage. So there is stenosis of the upper lips, and there's adhesions in the nose, nasopharynx, and oropharynx. And if we take a look at the subglottis, there is the subglottis stenosis also. Now, if we take the biopsy, if we look at the biopsy, then it shows plasma cell, lymphocytes, eosinophils, Mucorous cells, and visual bodies. Now, what are Mucorous cells and visual bodies? Mucorous cells are basically large foam cells, and they are having the gram-negative bacteria inside them. And what are visual bodies? Visual bodies are nothing but they are eosinophilic inclusion bodies. Now let me show you them. Here you can see the arrow and white foam cells there. The arrows, these are Mucorous cells. Now moving further, what is the treatment of the rhinoscleroma? Streptomycin. We give streptomycin to the patient, and tetracycline. Obviously, it is a bacterial infection, so we give antibiotics. And what antibiotics we give? We give streptomycin 1 gram per day and tetracycline 2 gram per day. And we continue the treatment for 4 to 6 weeks. And if necessary, we continue it for 1 month more. And if when there are consecutive 2 cultures we take and they both are negative, then we stop the treatment. We also give steroid to the patient, as I have told you earlier in the cicatricial stage, that in the cicatricial stage there is fibrosis. So to reduce the fibrosis, to reduce the adhesions in the cicatricial stage, we also give steroids to the patient. Surgical treatment is also required in some cases. First, our another topic, that is syphilis. Syphilis are of 2 types. Basically, it may be acquired and it may be congenital. Acquired means that during adulthood there may be it is sexually transmitted disease, so it is acquired during adulthood. Or congenital means it is acquired through the mother. In acquired syphilis, it primarily manifests as a primary cancer of the vestibules of the nose. It is rare. In primary syphilis, there is only the cancer at the vestibule of the nose, and it is rare. Let me show you a picture in the next slide. And then secondary syphilis. Secondary syphilis is basically with the simple rhinitis and fissuring. In the primary syphilis, we have simply cancer formation at the vestibule of the nose. And in secondary syphilis, there is the crusting and fissuring in the nasal vestibule, and there's mucus patches in the pharynx, skin, and lymphadenitis. And there comes the tertiary syphilis. In tertiary syphilis, there is a stage in which nose is commonly involved. In its gamma is formed, gamma formation on the nose, a large gamma formation on the nose. Cancer is simply in cancer formation. This is the cancer at the nose, and this is the large gamma at the nose, which is in the case of tertiary syphilis. This is in the case of primary syphilis. And secondary syphilis, we see the mucus patches everywhere. And then the perforation may also appear in the hard palate. There is offensive nasal discharge with crust and bony or cartilaginous collapse, and there's a saddle nose deformity. So in the primary syphilis there is simply a cancer formation, then the secondary syphilis there is a mucous patches we see, and tertiary syphilis there is a gamma formation of the nose, there may be a saddle nose deformity. And let me show you a picture of all of these. See here, there is cancer formation at the nasal vestibule, and this is the case of the primary syphilis. Then moving towards the secondary syphilis, I'll show you the picture of the secondary syphilis. Um, this is, you can see here mucus patches everywhere. This is the case of the secondary syphilis. And now the picture of the tertiary syphilis. In the tertiary syphilis, we have saddle nose deformity, and there is a gamma formation at the nose. This is the case of tertiary. This is the case of the tertiary syphilis. Form. In congenital syphilis, we have two forms. One is early form, and the other one is late form. The early form, in early form we have snuffles, and in late form we have Hutchinson's, mulberry threat, and hearing loss, etc. Let me show you a picture of both the forms. This is the early form. You can see here the snuffles, and this is the late form. You can see Hutchinson's teeth here, mulberry molars here, and there's also a saddle nose, or there is hearing loss, etc. So the late form and early form I have shown you. Now I have told you about the early form and the late form. In early form, it manifests in the 3 months of life, and snuffle or nasal discharge we can see in the early form. And late form we see in clinical picture is same as that of tertiary acquired syphilis, but there are Hutchinson teeth and corneal opacities and definite gamma is also present. Uh, and moving next, we have diagnosis. Diagnosis we made on the basis of the serological testing, VDRL test, and biopsy. And the treatment is obviously penicillin. Penicillin is a drug of choice. Benzathine penicillin 2.4 million units every week for 3 weeks with a total dose of 7.2 million units. And then we move towards the tuberculosis. What is tuberculosis? Primary tuberculosis of nose is rare. It is secondary to lung. We have seen that tuberculosis TB can occur in any part of the body, so it may occur in the nose also. The most commonest site of the nasal cavity is anterior part of the nasal septum and inferior turbinates. There is ulceration and perforation of the cartilaginous part, and diagnosis obviously we made on biopsy and special staining of acid fast bacilli, that is ZN staining. Then its treatment is same as that of TB, anti-tubercular drugs. What is the tuber vulgaris? It is a low-grade tuberculosis infection. In it, basically, the diagnostic point of lupus vulgaris is apple jelly nodules formation. I'll show you the apple jelly nodules. Okay, it is difficult to isolate tubercle bacilli culture. However, biopsy of the lesion is used to make the diagnosis. We make the diagnosis by the biopsy. Low-grade tuberculosis infection is lupus vulgaris, and the diagnostic point is there is apple jelly formation. That's it. These are the main features of it. Then moving forward, treatment is same as the tuberculosis of nose. These are the apple jelly nodules in case of lupus vulgaris. These are like jelly, so these are called apple jelly nodules in case of lupus vulgaris. Our next infection is leprosy. Leprosy is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. It is the granulomatous disease of nose, or it starts in the interior part of the nasal septum, anterior or inferior part of the nasal septum, and inferior turbinates are its more common location. It presents with excessive nasal discharge, red and swollen mucosa, and later there are nodules formation on the septum, and there is ulceration perforation. Later, I have told you earlier that in atrophic rhinitis, there's secondary atrophic rhinitis. The causes are leprosy, syphilis, etc. So late sequelae of this disease is atrophic rhinitis, depression of bridge of nose, and destruction of anterior nasal spine with retraction of glomerula. What is the retraction of the glomerula? Glomerula is retracted, and I'll show you the retraction of the glomerula in the next slide. How will you diagnose the leprosy patient? Obviously, it is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. So we diagnosed is by the acid fast staining, and leprous cells we see by the scrapings of the nasal mucosa. We basically do the acid fast staining, and acid fast bacilli are seen. Now I'll show you the retraction of the glomerula seen in the leprosy. Leprosy basically causes saddle nose deformity, atrophic rhinitis. We have already talked about that. The secondary atrophic rhinitis. In atrophic rhinitis, basically we have foul smelling nasal discharge and atrophy of the turbinates. And the causes of the atrophic rhinitis, in causes of the secondary atrophic rhinitis, we have talked that the syphilis and leprosy, etc., can also cause the atrophy of the turbinates. So it also causes the atrophy of turbinates, and it also causes the retraction of the glomerula. Let me show you the picture. Here you can see the glomerula is retracted, and this is the patient of leprosy. Leprosy. Leprosy causes saddle nose deformity, atrophic rhinitis, and retraction of glomerula. That's all about the bacterial granulomatous diseases of nose. I'll teach you about the fungal diseases in the next video.